it's inspirational to say L'chai in the morning, but it's not the morning because it's been one long Farbrengen from Shabbos, Chavches, and actually continuing on all the way through the night till today. So it's a hemshech of Farbrengen. When the Rebbe said this famous Sicha, the Lubavitch world and the Jewish world shook. And this was words we were not used to. It was shocking words, and words which really, it was something which we are trying to deal with and analyze these words. Much has been said, much will be said, and I'm sure that there'll be, I'm sure that everyone will add a piece of their own. I want to just share what's probably, first of all, my personal reaction then and how to deal with it, because everybody's personal reaction helps to maybe inspire some and actually create the bigger picture. When the Rebbe said the Sicha, I was in my first year of Shlichus in Chicago, Now, that Sicha was shocking. Why was it shocking? Because it was, the words we all know are shocking. But let's talk about the general picture also. Obviously, it was mentioned, it was the time when the Neflayos Harenu, there were such great miracles in the world. Just 2 nights before, the Rebbe spoke about the great miracles. We went a high with the idea of the greatest miracles of Moshiach. But even on an individual basis, it was shocking. We know that all the years the Rebbe has took us, and we all joined this journey of making the Rebbe's mission, starting off in the Kabbalah and the Siyas, and from Tafshin Yud, Tafshin Aleph, to the Kabbalah, Pnei Moshiach Tzekenu. Every action we did, we felt we were part of this train, we are part of this journey of making it happen. And I remember that in all the years, obviously we were encouraged never to write a personal question to Rebbe. People ask, you, as a Bacher, you had answers? I didn't have answers, I never wrote questions. It wasn't that we were told, we didn't bother the Rebbe. But there's one thing we continuously did and write the Rebbe was a duch. We sent reports, we sent our, whether it was learning with Tzayim, reaching out to a Jew, speaking in shuls, everything we wrote to the Rebbe, and we got answers. I know when we were in Shlichus for 2 years, we got every single month, we sent a duch, a very duch befratius, a detailed duch, and the Rebbe gave answers even to the point of Besuris Taibis, knowing that our work made a difference. And here suddenly, the Rebbe is using words which are lehevel v'lerik, which means that in a sense, it seems like nothing, that all these things you're doing is like nothing. And it's more so on an individual basis. You know, people that when they had a problem, who was their support? Where was the falling shoulder of the Rebbe? And this was the uplifting place, the place where you got chizuk, where you got uplifting. The initial reaction to the Sicha didn't seem uplifting, seemed very, very harsh. Now, it's in truth, we on the clips, and I want to thank 302 for doing an unbelievable job of putting this unbelievable bringing. This alone can bring Moshiach, and it's unbelievable achdus. But in addition to that, the many Farbrengens which we attended, and the many clips we watched over the years, to put them all together on every hour is unbelievable. And in truth, it was a shining Rabbi that ever cried. But again, it didn't hit us so strong. At the same time, maybe wrongfully so. That's a discussion on its own. But ultimately, the Rebbe cried. But at the same time, right after, there was the same energy, the same boost. And suddenly here the Rebbe saying Lehevel Lyric. So I want to just maybe explain the feeling, how we dealt, how to analyze this thing. And obviously, we are not here to analyze anything, because the Rebbe's words are beyond us and higher than us. But once someone came to the previous Rebbe and said, Ich hab gewusst the Tata, referring to the Rebbe Rashab, I knew your father. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, you saw my father. I do not think you knew my father. Which pshat is, what are we to say and how we to explain it? But we have to explain it in order to translate it to ourselves. And that is as follows. was mentioned before, but we all know the famous story of the Rebbe Rashab, that he was one time the Rebbe Rashab was not only involved in Chassidus Chabad, but Jewry worldwide and Jewry Russia. And in one meeting when he stood up, he was under house arrest and he fell sick in the hotel. And Rav Chaim Brisker came to visit him. And he told the Rebbe Rashab, we tried hard. And the Rebbe Rashab told him, aber the Indian hat sich nicht aufgetan. It didn't accomplish anything. Lapayel, I know we tried, but the bottom line, and he explained the difference between a boss in a business and a worker, an employee, that an employee goes home as long as he knows he tried, but a boss wants the bottom line. I can tell you from experience that, when I one time mediated one or two cases, people, when it comes to a case, a person does a project, and a person wants in the end, wants the results, doesn't care how much he tried, I want my house finished. And that's what I paid for, and that's what I hired you for. Don't give me stories about things in between. So that we'll understand. I want to explain it maybe on a very, not milsa b'chusa exactly. And Razal said it's the morning by me also. It's not late morning, it's not early morning, but it's morning. So I'll say milsa b'chusa in this idea to understand now seichel. They say a story in Chelm that they one time sent the Yodim and Vinay, the big geniuses of Chelm, to figure out how the train works. And they spent 3 weeks in the big city with a full report. They came back on the Chelm expense, room, hotel, everything, and they called the town to a meeting. And they started off saying, the 100th train is pulled with the 99th train. And everyone gave them a massive round of applause. And they're going through the 99th train, the 98th train, the 20th, the 19th, the 18th, the 17th, the 16th. And as they're going on, the third, the second, the first. And the first, suddenly, they stop and they finish their speech. As they're walking off the stage, there's one guy who said, I have maybe a foolish question, but can I ask? He says, sure. What pulls the first train? They said, we don't know. So what do you mean don't know? We sent you on a trip, we paid your expenses, you are our reporters. What do you mean you don't know? They said, well, we told you 99 trains. No, one train we didn't tell you, give us a break. It felt that way with it. This is what the Rebbe was telling us. The Rebbe was saying, true, you did all these trains. True, you did all these things, but it's 99 trains. It's not, the pile is, the main engine has to move. And the main engine is the Kabul Pnei Moshiach Tzidkeinu. And said that in a way, it seemed that way, like I'm throwing it to you. That's how we took it. I can say me, and I said many asifas afterwards in this regard. But in truth, it's not, and we know that, and even in the Rebbe's Pa'ulas, all the years, I remember one time going with Saim, and 1 week it wasn't so successful. And Shabbos was the Fabrengen every week. And the Rebbe then explained on a pasuk, the Rebbe explained, is not Negeya. The main thing is, the results are not so important. You have Yud Kei Vav Kei. If you have the exchange, you have Yud Kei Vav Kei. What was the encouragement? As long as you tried. And here the Rebbe is saying not so. But in truth, as the years went on, that was the initial reaction and the initial shock. And the shock was real. But at the same time, I can tell you personally, as many over the years learning the Sicha, and now coming to Shloshim Shana, Shloshim L'Koyach, and it's Chavches and Shloshim, and it's a very powerful number, and Shloshim is not a small number, even in regards to the Sicha, because the Rebbe spoke about Chazaka in the Sicha, the whole lead up to Chavches. Chavches was Chavzayin, and the Rebbe explained Chavzayin is 27, Gimel, Pamim, Gimel, 3 times 3, and it's a div Chazaka. That year was a Chazaka with Shabbos falling out on Rosh Hashanah. So I've explained the whole thing Chazaka. And now with 3 times 10, 10 is always a number, Mispah Shalem, a complete number, and 3. So we're mamish on the peak of Chazaka. So the question is, what does it mean? So I want to say on twofold. On the first point I want to say is that 100%, when you look at the initial Sicha, it was a shake-up. But when you really, really learn the Sicha, again, and I tell myself, it's unbelievable. The Rebbe is giving us so much in that Sicha, as so much that is never unprecedented gift that never existed before. And I'll just preface with a small story. When the Frierdiker Rebbe came to America, he came to the Greystone Hotel. And at that time, it was mamash, people were struggling with groping with the idea of Yiddishkeit. And a few wealthy Jews who came and said, what is the point of learning Chassidus? So the Frierdiker Rebbe was trying to explain in their language. And he said to them, these hotels had tall ceilings or ornamental ceilings, with different decorations. He said, you see the crack in the ceiling. So they said, no, we don't see the crack. Said the Frierdiker Rebbe, if I shine a light, a heavy light, you'll see the crack. They said, yes. So he responded and said, well, Chassidus is the light which shines in everything to notice everything there. Chassidus is the light. The Rebbe in this Sicha gave us the light, which is the biggest gift possible, the light that we can change the world. And we see the Moshiach. The light is there. For Haraya, you look around the world today, we see from 30 years later that there's been such a Heilechem Gaber, even after the Sicha, and we see the Hatzlacha, not the Hatzlacha and the potential Hatzlacha, and we see the unbelievable work towards Lakabel Pnei Mashiach Sakeno. True Mashiach has not come. True, it's Lahebel Lirik in that regard, but we see the whole Nakuda of Baal Shem Tov, and the Rebbe said in the Siyas, is to bring Moshiach. We see such an influx in an unbelievable way. And I just want to say two Nakudas where I saw many, many points you can add to see Nakudas. But I can tell you that you go around today, the world, even forget Chassidus, people are learning Chassidus, whether they are religious, secular, modern Orthodox, people are grappling to the air of Moshiach, that people are desperate for a word of Chassidus. So you see, this Inyan becomes so matter of fact, which is way unprecedented than before. Matter of fact, I'll give you another example. The talk about Moshiach. Everyone, recently, there was a big event in the community right before COVID. There was a big event, a few hundred people. And a Rav got up there. It was not a Chabad event, but I'm close to this Rav. And 3/4 of his speech was about Moshiach. Positive speech. And afterwards, he told me, Lubavitcher, I like you. I gave you a gift. I spoke your topic. So I said to him, you didn't give me a gift. You gave the Eibishter and you give the Rebbe a gift. You gave Yiddishkeit a gift. You know what? I'll write to the Rebbe. Give me a name and your mother's name. And I'll write to the Rebbe. I send a duch to the oil. I will write your name and tell the Rebbe what you did. And then 2 hours later, I suddenly had Harati called up and says, I'll write, but even more important, I don't know why I didn't think of it then. I will also, I want to make sure you write. And I told him how to write a letter. He never wrote a letter. And he wrote the letter. And what's up shot? It became a matter of fact. This Indian of a saying Mashiach is natural. It's natural everywhere. Let's look at our personal gift. That everyone's excited, the years we were there. And you're talking about now Dvar Malchus, and it's an unbelievable project to learn the Dvar Malchus. And the Dvar Malchus is the Rebbe gave us the Sichas of Moshiach, as well as the many Contrasim and Dallas. And I want to say that this project of learning it, I encourage everyone to learn the Dvar Malchus. I personally, through Bikr, I was there and I got the Dvar Malchus. I'm not sure many in Chicago got it. I remember when I got it, I copied it from the original to the whole community. We had a share in Dvar Malchus. But I'm saying is as follows. That Dvar Malchus and all these gifts, we're all excited we have these things that which is true. Never gave Yad Kodshay. Here, the Rebbe didn't give me Yad Kodshay. The Rebbe gave his essence. The Rebbe gave us the greatest gift. The Rebbe gave us the ability that we can bring Mashiach, that we can make a difference. People used to always say, a grace Rebbe. But what about the Chassidim? The Rebbe said in that Sicha, you are great. I trust you. I want to join with you. I'm ready to be your partner. I can join with you and make that difference. I can go out and by you doing it, you say America is the land of opportunity. What does it mean, opportunity? Every kind of opportunity means a person wants to work hard, he can make money. The Rebbe is telling us this idea of Gilui Mashiach is opportunity. Every Yid can make a difference. Every Yid can go and make Mashiach a reality and can make it happen. So that is the chelik. It's the greatest gift. It's Heilechem Gaber. The gift is unbelievable. Kumuvan that we want the bottom line. Kumuvan is a part in us. The biggest gift the Rebbe showed us also how much the yearning has to be, which even though the Rebbe, on all the many sichas, which we heard over the years, and the Rebbe talking Moshiach, this gave us a shake-up to teach us what the yearning is. And I'm sure, as many, when the last year that we were sitting there and dealing with a certain kind of yearning in the world for normalcy, we resonated with that sicha, the tshuka, how the Rebbe wanted and said, Gewalt, the Rebbe had his feeling every day. This world is not normal. What taught us what it means that a yid has to yearn. Come moving, and that's part of the gift, part of this partnership. The Rebbe entrusted in us and told us that we can, each and every one of us, join the plan. But I wanted to say also, first of all, to globally and then to individually. You know, in that Sicha, there's a lot of Isis, give us Eich, and the Rebbe said, Asaram Yisrael, 10 from Yisrael. So I, as anyone, why 10? Some, you know, what's 10? But I can tell you the different things you think about over the years. Lachreina, the last year, something resonated in my mind. There were Yidden who were talking about the 10, at least 10. I just want a minyan. Don't give me a whole shul. Don't give me a whole big building. I don't need 500 people in my minyan. Allow me to have a minyan. This was the talk in the religious world. I want a minyan, rightfully so. For those who can have a minyan, they should have a minyan. Why? Obviously, they should have a minyan. And this was what was everyone's mind. The thing is, the Rebbe told us that really, think about it for a second. What can 10 do? If you have 10, there's many more things you can do with 10. Don't be like the farmer who has the famous story, who wants the hut, who wants the little village. If you have 10, you can actually make you can actually make Moshiach happen. Asarim Yisrael and 10. And it gave us clear direction. Come move in the sichas afterwards. Boruch, the Rebbe explained different things. I'll get to 1 second. But ultimately, the Rebbe is telling us that 10 has power. 10 has, so it's tangible, it's doable. I tell people who I deal with interact in also in different parts of the community, and one is the religious part of the community, who are impressed with Chabad. And they say, Kol HaKavod Chabad. I tell them the Rebbe was never about saying that. As we know in Dallas, when someone came to the Rebbe said, he told the Rebbe, you're great. The Rebbe says, what will I have you telling me I'm great? I tell people, you want to do something special, obviously give, help the Chabad house, 100%. Mitzvah, tzedakah, help the shliach. Everyone I tell them, a menschlichkeit. But you want to do something also, and equally important, and that is become now a shliach. Every individual, whether it's Chabad or not, anyone, you can't get 10 Jews through a month to find them a mezuzah. You have a big company, you have a business. You don't have employees to give them a mezuzah. You can't get 10 Yidden at a certain kuf and put on tefillin. And I've given people who are not, they don't consider the Chabad circles, but yet to have tefillin. And I have notes of thank you of saying that gave me mission life. It gave me inspiration. Thank you for that gift. Everyone can get 10 people. You can encourage others to become and make a difference of 10. And then I want to say is, that's the next nukuda of the difference we can make. The other thing is, and the Rebbe said, is to actually prepare for Moshiach. We had a Fabring and Achash Pesach. So what's quoted was, what does it mean that you live Moshiach? So a name of Shpia, idea to live Moshiach is that you actually, Rosh Hashanah in the morning, the way you get up is different because you know it's Rosh Hashanah. The Rebbe wanted that we should also change our mindset, that everything we should see things differently. And it's very simple things. Whether you have, let's say, if it's a man, you start your day, you go to mikveh in the morning. Listen, if Mashiach's coming today, and Mashiach will come, Shkoch Pratis last night, you saw on the, for Rabbi Fella, a Moshe Fella on the Living Torah, what did he say? He spoke a Sicha, the Hamur, and the Rebbe asked him the questions on what did you speak? Thank God he spoke in the Rebbe's Haggadah and nothing else. The same mindset, I think, that has to be with us. Mashiach's coming today. So let's start a day right. You have to go to mikveh. You got to daven like a mensch. You got a little chassidus before davening. Then you have to start after davening. You said, "Hey, makabel." Find someone to do a favor. whether it's a Jew you influence, whether it's somebody who needs a mitzvah, whether someone who needs Yiddishkeit, or whether even a fellow shliach, a fellow person, or even a family. Find somebody that you're going to make a difference in their life. And then you feel you live the Moshiach day. It's not so unreachable. It's approachable. Everybody has that ability to stand on every single day and do that. You can go and prepare your life, your family, your home, and say, listen, Mashiach come any day. So let's say, to really believe it with an emes, that it's real. And if it's emes, it's a skabel. You know, there's a very famous Chicago story that there was Moshe Soloveitchik, who was his father was Aaron Soloveitchik, and he sent him to Lubavitch camp. Those was in Gan Yisrael, in then Parksville, not Parksville, it was in the original camp there, but he sent him to Gan Yisrael. Picked him up from camp, he asked him, what do they speak about in camp? So he responded, he said, they speak about Moshiach. His father said, I also talk about Moshiach. He said, they mean it. When you mean it, it will resonate in our family that Moshiach will come today. Let's be ready. Let's be ready and to makabel Pnei Moshiach in the proper way. And that's another nakuda. And I just want to say is, with this I want a Messiah. The greatest gift, you know, you say the Rebbe, how we live with. We know there was a discussion with Rashab and Yaakov Moshe Poltava. Basically, what does a skashus mean? A skashus means the Rebbe or the Rebbe's what he stands for. And not the Rebbe Rashab said is what the Rebbe stands for. The Rebbe told us, you want to be connected to me. And he gave us a clear thing how to be connected. He gave us the clarity of how we can be connected. And you know, the famous, someone came to the Rebbe and said, why the Chassidim loved you so much? The Rebbe said, because I love them so much. So it's kamayim upon him. The water reflects. My love reflects their love. We all love the Rebbe and what the Rebbe stands for. And this is what the Rebbe told us clearly. You want to actually make a difference, do what I love. I think Mashaka Pratis, that this is kashrus, this Fabrengen, which is an amazing Fabrengen, because so much unbelievable things have been said. The Fabrengen alone and the Achos Min Moshiach was L'machrasoi Shemenim Kippurim. You know, the famous story that the Afrika Rebbe came to Rebbe Shab and said, "Was is jetzt?" After Yom Kippur, what's now? And he said, now it's a daf von Shuvaton. We had a day of Shabbos to deal with it with a Shloshim Shana. Shloshim Shana was still here. That's the question which he asked. But now we have the next day to say, Shloshim Shana, and look what the Rebbe has done. We are moments before the Geula. The Rebbe, God takes on a Gullus, and there's no question that we are the generation. As we go now into the beginning, we're in a Brian Shana, not in any way that we're accommodated. Rabbi will never be accommodated, but our Brian Shana, the Indian, that'll be Yad Mamish, that will go to Israel. So let us actually take that gift, the unbelievable thing. Maybe it's in a one sense hevel, but on a much, much deeper sense, it's the biggest matana that will give us Sa'aich. The Rebbe gave us something, his whole etzem, his whole mitzias, trusted us and showed us his love and his compassion, which will unite Hashem, that energized us now, which is everything which is going on in the world is 100% the schus of the Rebbe, of that Sicha and all the Sichas, which the Rebbe is saying, told us clearly that this is what is going to make a difference. And in Yirtzeh Hashem, this trust and this confidence in us and this vote of confidence will actually make it happen as we continue, and we will actually make it as a reality. L'chaim, l'chaim.